Entrepreneur to Ultrapreneur, step number 6. Now, this is where I want you to make the magic happen. And when you look at a really successful business, so let's take Apple, for example, right? Apple, as we know, weren't the first company to make MP3 players, they weren't the first company to make laptops and all the rest of it. But they did really well within their sector, and the reason why they did really well is because they did something different. And the reason why they did something different is because they came outside of the comfort zone within their industry, and they looked at what really made a difference to their customers. They looked at the reason why their customers bought into brands, you know, what it is that they were really looking for, and then they delivered on that. But the only reason why they were able to do that is because of this, you know, this passion and excellence combination that I keep talking about. Now, look at what's happening in your industry. Think about your industry just for a second. Just sit back, think about your industry. Chances are you may be replicating what you see in companies that are already successful, even if it's in a small way. And you're doing the steps one after the other, and you're basically just copying what they've done, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because you think, well, they're successful, so I'll be successful. But at some point, you need to find you. You need to find your magic, your unique selling point. You need to find the X factor in your business that will allow you to have that longevity, that will allow you to have that success. Because if you look at all of these companies that are really successful, there is a hallmark, there is something about that company, whether it's externally to its customers or whether it's internally, which enables their workforce to deliver to a high degree. There is something magical about something that they're doing in that company, right? I don't know, if you look at Toyota, for example, one of the most successful car companies, when corporates from the Western world had a look at what they did, those guys were doing Tai Chi in the morning. Why? Because it made their workforce more relaxed. Why is that good? Because it means that they'll be more productive, right? Very, very simple things. But it was different. It was different to what a lot of the bigger car companies were doing, right? And this is a very, very small example. But if you look at some of the stuff that we were doing when we had our digital agency back in 2006, we had exactly the same product set as everybody else, exactly the same thing, right? But what we did was we characterized our products, yeah? So we characterized them, we gave them new names, we almost made it look like what we were doing was very, very different to everybody else, yeah? And the reason why we did it is because we were really passionate. We didn't want to be the same as everybody else. We thought, we believed that we were delivering a much different, range of products to everybody else. And we wanted that to be reflective in how people saw us, right? And that became our USP. People, it became a talking point within our industry, and it enabled us to have, whether it's just the open door to have a conversation to find out more about what it is that we were doing, right? But that passion could then be seen from the outside. So the passion that we created from our product set outside meant that we were able to create a reaction from somebody, right? And that reaction got their attention. And that attention then gave us their ears, right? They were now listening to us, and sometimes that's kind of all it takes. But going back to it, we were able to do something magical. We were able to do something different within our company, within our industry, and get their attention. So think about your industry once again, whether it's today, tomorrow. Don't rush it, but look at your industry, look at what's happening, and think to yourself, what can I do differently? And there may be things that you can do differently now. There may be things that you can only do differently in 3, 4, 5 years time, or 3, 4, 5 months time, right? But write them down and plan for that. Don't plan to do things in the normal way. Plan to be different, because that is what the future's made of. And in order for you to stay within your industry, you can see that most industries today, they are very, very, they move. There's so much movement, there's so much flow within most industries. Things are constantly changing. And unless you plan for that change or anticipate that change in advance, then, you will be part of that 80-85% of entrepreneurs who don't make it. And going from entrepreneur to ultrapreneur in this regard will put you into that 15%, because it means that you anticipate change, you anticipate movement within your industry and within your customers' needs, and that you're able to respond to them more quickly.